This podcast is sponsored by Ramp. Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's corporate cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp's software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/easy. Ramp.com/easy. RAMP.com/easy.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Things started to happen, and I started to see what I call star being energies, because to me they appear as these rainbow-colored vertical strips.
Wendy's Coffee House. Hey, thanks for tuning in. This is part 2. We've already done one show with Myrian Gallar, also known as Amayah. All right, her website, amayahshaman.com. So we learned about the beings. She's had near-death experiences, several, and she's also had contact with interdimensionals, ETs, whatever you want to call them. They are non-corporeal, and that story I'll let her tell. But this is kind of a recap of the UFO sighting and then connecting with the beings. Again, her website, Amayah Shaman, and this is part 2. So part 1 is in the archives if you want to get up to speed on this. If not, you're already up to speed. Here we go. Oh, by the way, I'm Wendy. Thanks for tuning in. Starting with the UFO sighting.
And I said, wow. So the office I was working at, there was a guy there who was a retired Navy fighter jet pilot. And he was in a wheelchair and stuff. And I said, well, this is what I saw last night. And as a crow flies, there's an Air Force base that used to be there. They decommissioned, and there wasn't a base there anymore, but the Coast Guard planes still land there. And I said, it went towards the base. And he says, we don't have a base there anymore. I said, I know that. But it went directly towards that base. And I described what it was. So he brings up a picture of the stealth bomber. I can't remember the number. And I said, well, kind of, but let me look underneath. Do you have a picture from what looks from the bottom up? And he brought a picture, said, no, that's not it. And he says, well, we don't have anything like that you're describing. I said, you sure? He says, oh yeah, I'm sure. We don't have anything like that. And I said, okay. Well, after that, things, through synchronicity, things started to happen. I started to see what I call star being energies, because to me they appear as these rainbow-colored vertical strips. They're just strips, and they move, and they're all colors of the rainbow. Mm-hmm. And I started to see that around people, so I can tell who has them around. And then stuff started to happen. I was teaching a class on channeling or something, and I could feel there was this message that wanted to come in, and this gal volunteered, says, well, I can sit there for you. My place is very quiet. We can record it. All right. So they started to come through me. It was a really, really deep, one of those types of energy that you just go into this stupor and you hardly speak. And they identified themselves as not the hierarchy of light, but something at the highest frequency or whatever. I still have the book. And they were doing what it's called a transmission. It was transmission in words and transmission in energy. Yeah. And it dictated through me the whole thing. And then I started to do the transmissions. And the transmissions were, I've had people come to me and they completely transformed within a month. They were completely different. After 3 transmissions, it's like, are you the same person that showed up here a month ago? And I started doing that, and I was doing that for quite a while. And then 2012 showed up with all the Mayan calendar, and the whole thing. And people were asking for that. And well, now I've got 6 different star nations doing their thing through me. Orion, Sirius, Pleiades, Lyra, Arcturus, and Andromeda. And they're doing their thing through me, and we're opening portals, closing portals, amazing, all kinds of stuff. And it kind of went crazy. And so my life privately, when the recession hit, 2008, everything stopped. There was no work. I lost my job and was unemployed for a couple of years, doing whatever. And in 2012, to survive, because there was no architectural work, I was cleaning houses. And I hurt my back doing that. And so all of a sudden, in 2012, in 3 months, I lost my job, my income, my health, my German Shepherd wolf dog, my house, and I had 3 weeks to leave. I did a short sale and was able to get out of there. And I had 3 weeks to find a place with 2 dogs and 3 cats. And I kept asking. I said, I just need a place for me, my dogs, and my cats. And through a bunch of synchronicities, I ended up where I am in a mobile home park. And I was close to 62, being 62. And I said, well, I can sign up with Social Security, but I need to make money. And so I decided to teach this thing that I had channeled in 2005. And the whole curriculum of a 2-year program on becoming fully human, starting from undoing or letting go of all the stuff you're not and learning what you are and then mastering that. And so I managed to put together a group, and I did that for most of the year in 2013. But towards the end, things started to get a little, I should say, hairy. And all of a sudden, one of the star people groups decided they were going to manipulate me to make me a portal for them. And they sent 5 different ETs to do their little dirty job on me. And that was October 10, 2013. And they showed up here 24/7 until April of 2014. And they were blasting me with energy every day, doing stuff that it's just, I didn't even know what the hell was going on anymore. And I had no idea until I realized they were opening up and connecting all my chakras, making one big thing. So they could come through me 24/7 or anywhere I was and do whatever they wanted to do here on the planet with people, which is wasn't really malevolent or anything. It's just they didn't ask my permission.
Entertainment.
It wasn't entertainment. It was more like they needed a portal. See, what these beings do is they need permission of a human. They need to come through a human.
Again, my guest, Amayah, Myrian Gallar, talking about her UFO experiences and the beings.
When I went through all the ET and the beings that have been here since 2012, what I was, the healer, the shaman, I'm not anymore. I'm at a different level. I can't do that anymore. I'm at a different level of understanding, a different energy. And I need to explain that if anybody's interested, because at this point, I can do all kinds of stuff, but the purpose of Amayah, even I got the dogs whining on the recording. The purpose of Amayah, it's a different purpose now. See, what happens is, in 2013, ETs showed up and they manipulated my energy. And I got to a point where I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what time of the day it was, what day of the week it was. I was completely disoriented. And I didn't know, I've never experienced anything like that, not in that nature. Usually my guides and the beings I worked with, they were benevolent. And when I finally managed to get the ETs out of here, then another being showed up, and it was a never-ending story from 2013 until 2019. And it was one being after another and after another. And after a while, I said, how do I get rid of this? I have to stop this. And I went online and I was looking, and I found one guy that came up with these exercises, meditations, and whatever. And I tried those, and it worked. And he says, don't be afraid of being a little bit angry and putting your foot down and telling these beings to leave. And I said, oh, sure. And I tried that, and it worked. The thing with me is I don't really know what I can and what I cannot do, because I work with energy, and energy reveals itself to me as needed. I have no clue what am I going to be doing next. I do things as needed. And so I don't have a manual. I don't have a way to explain, and I can't say, well, if you have cancer, this is what we do. If you have an anti-key attached, this is what we do. No, I work with everybody is unique. Energy is unique, and it's going to do what it's going to do. So from the ETs, there was another being that came from a parallel dimension that I had to deal with for a few months. And that was horrendous. I don't need to walk into that. Then after that, there were other beings from what they call different places. They're not really physical beings. They work with different. They function in different frequencies, and they gather in what we call the dark matter and the cosmos, in places where that frequency is existing, and that's where they dwell. And they travel within dimensions. I had beings here. They were multidimensionals, interdimensionals. They would hide between dimensions. And the whole thing is unbelievable. And eventually there was one being that came, and I felt an instant connection. That was 2015, I think. And he called me Amayah. And I said, well, that's a pretty name. What's Amayah? And he says, that's pure heart. I said, well, yeah, I am. And he gave me his name. And it was another whole year of a different thing going on here. And then I had a slew of beings that were, and this sounds kind of crazy, and I questioned myself, but it was my reality. There was a whole slew of beings here that were intent on taking my essence, what makes Amayah out of me. One of them, I actually watched it. There were four beings that came, and they were a bit nasty, and they came in and they were pulling this blue orb out of me, and I said, oh, please don't kill me. And they said, we're not killing you. And they pulled this blue orb, which is Amayah, out of me, and they wanted to give it to the original being that was millions of years ago, Amayah. And I said, oh, no, you have to give it back to me. It's mine. And so I learned a lot of different things dealing with these beings that I had no idea I could do. And it's all energy, and an energy level. The best description I have of that is if you ever watch an anime movie where they do all kinds of things with energy, that's that level. It's crazy. And I don't even know how to explain. So I had so much stuff going on that for about 3 years I was terrified of being around people, because I was afraid they're going to be doing stuff through me to other people. I said, oh God, no. And slowly I started to get rid of all those beings. And when the beings from the Large Magellanic Cloud showed up, with them came what they call themselves the Galactic Council of Light. And I said, all right. I go online, and there's a whole different definition of them. They said, no, that's not what we are. And I said, what is it? What are you? And he says, well, we oversee the light grid, the grid, the energy grid that connects all forms and beings and life. And we maintain the peace in that field, and that's why we're here, because your planet is disturbing the field. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry, if I can help. And so they decided to make me a part of their council, because they were worried that with all the legacy floating around here in the United States and other parts of this planet because of that former president, that my life here would be in danger. And I said, no, I don't need that. I don't want to be part of your group. And sure enough, couple of nights, big black beings with red shiny eyes showed up, and I couldn't even talk. I was petrified, and I could hardly call them. And they came and they took them out of here. And it says, we have to make you part of our council. I said, no, okay. Well, but then I feel like I'm in a pea soup. And I said, no. If I need, I'll call you. And then other beings, they keep coming and they identify themselves and they do this and they do that. And the beings that big, gigantic, triangular spaceship, the ones that were in there, they one day showed up here in person. And they identify themselves as beings from Aldebaran, which is a star in the Taurus constellation. They all have their own specific skills and intentions and whatever they do.
Okay, so you said they showed up in person, so you're seeing a physical...
Yeah, well, they showed up here. Yeah, okay. Well, physical. I don't see them physical, but they speak through me. They were here. I could feel their energy. My animals feel it. They can look at it. And they were talking through me, and they were very intense. And so anyway, when I finally started to go back into helping people and doing healing and readings and stuff, it's a different level of working with energy. And I can't do that feel good type thing that a lot of healers do. They just calm you down, make you feel good. No, I'm doing really a different level of work. I'm helping you let go of the stuff that it's blocking you, being you.
Yeah.
And with that, disease, goes away, because disease is a manifestation of trauma and pain and darkness and stuff. And that's what I was doing until the virus showed up and everything stopped. But then I have another type of thing that I'm doing with somebody long distance, and that's a different story. So the level of healing that I do now, it's more of it reaches deep into a level of, okay, let's just make you whole again, not just, take away my headache. No, the headache it goes deeper than that. So we go deeper without any different processes. The energy is doing that. It's releasing whatever. And not only the headache goes away, a lot of the stuff that was behind the headache goes away. I reach beyond physical, emotional. It's a whole energy thing. It's past life. It's all at once. Talking with
Amayah, Myrian Gallar.
I think it was 2017 or 18. About an hour from here, there was a gal doing what they call a sound bath. And I was there listening to all the Tibetan bowls and everything else. And the group that was here at the time decided it was a good time to play with me. And they decided to expand my consciousness and expand and expand and expand. And, and I'm about to scream because I felt like I was exploding in nanoparticles. And I became the universe. I became all the galaxies. I became the dark matter. I became everything, and everything was me at the same time. And it's like, and in there, I'm in a group of people, and they're doing that to me. And finally, when they stopped and the singing bowl stopped, And I was a bit discombobulated, and I'm driving home and I'm screaming. That's all I could do was scream. And everything changed there because now I'm everything at once, at the same time. I'm talking to you and I'm everything, I'm everywhere at the same time. And so things are moving through me at the same time. I'm in all levels at the same time. How do you explain that to people? They look at me like, yeah, right. How old are you? I'm probably female, aren't you? No, but it's hard to explain that to people. What they told me many years ago, you need to start working. I didn't understand what it was. And time is running out, so they came in and they did their thing because I had to start working. I have to be Amayah if this is my last life here. I have to be who I am. I have to become Amayah. I have to become what Amayah was and do what I came here to do.
Myrian Gallar talking about Amayah. There's an interesting film coming out, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. And there's a trailer. You can check it out. Michelle Yeoh and Jamie Lee Curtis has a cool role in this film too. But it is a sci-fi film, and it might give you a backstory for what this might be like to experience all of this. Back in a few, Wendy's Coffee House.
Major phone carriers make you sign contracts with rigid data plans to trap you into a kind of forced phonogamy. Sounds pretty insecure if you ask me. At Consumer Cellular, we believe in a more consensual and healthy form of phonogamy, free of contracts and more flexible to your data needs. This way, you stick around not because we force you to with contracts and fees, but because you love our phone plans. Like ardently love our phone plans. Phonogamously. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Wendy's Coffee House.
It's going to get worse. And they keep telling me to not concern yourself with it. You can't stop it. And the purpose of it is to remove the dark legacy out of humans. And the only way to remove it is people don't allow themselves to release it. And unfortunately, people have to, their physical existence here has to cease, and the darkness has to be removed out of the planet and dissolved.
The website is amayahshaman.com. Myrian Gallar is my guest. Now, she also says she has some writings, and I'm putting those on a link on my blog, talkingtonightlights.com. All right, so you can check out some of her writing. Hopefully, she'll add this to her website as well. Talking about the beings, also her UFO sighting, how it changed her and what she deals with. And then we come up to the topic of premonitions or precog or prophecy. And you heard part of that, so now we're going to continue.
And after all that, what's going to happen is, and this is going to take a few years because they told me. So how long is that going to take? They said years. After that, when the darkness is completely removed and the planet is cleansed, whoever is left here are the ones that are not of the legacy, are the ones that came from other places, beings of light that have been buried under the human existence and pain and trauma and generation stuff for a long time. And they will come to me and other people that are doing healing to, for lack of a better word, be awakened to their true existence.
To let this sink in, I'm going to replay this in its entirety, the whole sequence, with Myrian.
I hope I'm not making it confusing, but now going back to the Galactic Council and what they're here doing, part of the message that they gave me about the darkness and all the stuff coming out on the streets and all the violence and stuff, they keep saying that things are going to get worse, much worse. People are going to start turning against each other, which they are. And violence will spill into the streets, which it is, but it's going to get worse. And they keep telling me to not concern yourself with it. You can't stop it. And the purpose of it is to remove the dark legacy out of humans. And the only way to remove it is people don't allow themselves to release it. And unfortunately, people have to, their physical existence here has to cease, and the darkness has to be removed out of the planet and dissolved. And after all that, what's going to happen is, and this is going to take a few years because they told me, I said, how long is that going to take? And he said, years. After that, when the darkness is completely removed and the planet is cleansed, whoever is left here are the ones that are not of the legacy, are the ones that came from other places, beings of light that have been buried under the human existence and pain and trauma and generation stuff for a long time. And they will come to me and other people that are doing healing to, for lack of a better word, be awakened to their true existence. And then those people will start to rebuild the planet and make this planet something that was intended to be a place of life, a place of light, where everything is peace. And yes, animals eat other animals. That's how it was made here. But humans will be more evolved in frequency and energy and thinking. And perhaps even their brains will evolve into a different capacity. But that will take years to happen. And I told him, I said, look, I'm not a kid anymore. And you say it's going to take a long time. I'm 70 now. How much longer do you think I'm going to live here? Because human existence is limited. And they told me, do not concern yourself with numbers. Your existence here as a human will be long enough until the work is done, because once the legacy is removed and humans need to be awakened, I need to be here to help them. And then I have another group, several of the star people, the ones that come in UFOs. They've told me, we need you to help us find our people. Because once this is over, they're going home with us. They're not going to come by and stay here as humans. And I said, well, there are 7.5 billion people on this planet. And how long have you been here? And they said, well, their ancestors have been coming here for thousands of years. And the ones, one particular group, the beings from a far, far away galaxy, they actually gave me the name of this guy that is no longer alive, and I don't have the name anymore. That they worked with him for years, and he created a whole a physical place where people would go there for classes and become more, learn different things, and they worked with them. And I said, okay, so I Googled it, and I found the guy, and it corroborated the story. The guy died in the 80s. And I said, whoa, these people are legit. And they said, well, this time we're here, and humans don't need that anymore. There are many doing that work, the beginning work to awake people, to learn, to teach things to people. We're here to find our people. And I said, well, if you know humans, you know how complicated it is. You can't just tell them, hey, you're a star being. They freak. And so they accompanied me to some of the healing arts festivals, and they were bringing me people that they recognized. And some of them already were halfway through, and they knew they were from someplace else, and I got them going. And another gal that called me through the website, she wanted to learn shamanic healing and stuff, so I go to her house, and I can tell that she is way more than what she claims she does. But she's also Catholic, also afraid, also superstitious, and she believes in evil, the devil, and this and that. And we were talking for a couple hours. I taught her a couple of things, and she was going to continue. And when I left her house, these beings were going wild. They said, she's one of us. She's one of us. You have to help her. And I said, calm down. You were there. You notice how reserved and fearful she is? Yeah, I said, okay, I'll help her, but it's going to take time. Sure enough, she canceled, couldn't do it, not the right time. I said, I told him, I said, see what I told you? It's not that simple. You can bring them to me, but if they're afraid, if they're not ready, if they got too much stuff in the way, it's not going to happen. So they know. And once in a while, they give me messages to post. And the other ones, they say they need me to work with them. And I said, but I'm not doing anything. She says, you are with us. You give us permission to do what we have to do because we work through you. And I said, all right. But they said that there will be, for lack of a better word, mass, what do you call it, extinction. The planet is going crazy. The weather is going crazy, and that's part of it is human doing. The planet is overbuilt. It's being destroyed, and something has to give. And I hate to sound pessimistic, but that's what they've been telling me. And I felt, since I was a kid, I always felt that there's just way too many, too much. Everything is just too much. People don't know when to stop. You know, that it's just greed and make money and destroy and don't rebuild. In Washington State, for example, you know, you drive on the roads and it's beautiful greenery on each side, and you think, oh, lush forest. No, they log the forest, but by ordinance from the state, they have to keep 10 feet deep from the road, rows of trees. So when you look and don't see the devastation behind it.
I remember seeing that years ago. I remember seeing where they clear cut, and you would see the hole in front of you on the side you were looking at would be
just
all
trees.
Full of trees, and then on the back side it was a bare. And it was like, oh my gosh, that's an interesting way to do that.
Well, they don't replant, they don't rebuild the forest, and they cut down the pines and whatever that they want. And they don't replant. They don't do any reforestation. And then what's the name of it? I can't remember the name. But they now have. Well, they had last time I was there. Tree farms, and they plant a different type of tree, which I can't remember what it is. That grows very fast, and the wood is good for particle board and all this other stuff that they make. It's not real good for building anything out of real wood. And so as you drive by, you see there's a sign that says 1 year forest, 2 years forest, 3 years forest, 5 years forest. And when it gets to the 5 year, they cut them down, plant it again. And so that way they keep growing, they keep in business, but they destroy the whole environment. I mean, I went hiking with REI to one weekend to build a hiking trail to one of the forests that they cut down, and they said, we're done. There was absolutely no life in there. No buzz, no bugs, no trees. I mean, no birds, nothing. It was eerie. Yeah. And so anyway, that's what people are doing. And, you know, in Brazil, they burnt down most of the Amazon forest, and it hurt like hell when I saw that thing burning because, you know, that's dear to me. This planet is my life. This planet, whatever they do to this planet hurts me deeply, and it's always been that way. This is my planet. And, you know, they told me the whole story about Amayah and this and stuff, and I said, well, I have no memory of this. But whatever you say. And then one day I was writing on my website about Amayah, and the beings from a faraway galaxy were overseeing what I was writing. And usually when I write, you know, they're dictating telepathically. And when I finish, I said, well, can I read it for you? Make sure I got it right. And they say, yes. And I start reading, and I'm crying. And they said, you remember Amayah? And I said, I don't know if I remember, but I feel it. And so I believe, from what I am, I don't know about the details, if they're correct or not. All I know is what they told me, what I feel. And it explains a lot about me, how I feel about things. I'm extremely sensitive, always been. In the beginning, when I started learning about these things, I've always been this way. In Brazil, there are no names. Somebody calls themselves psychics or mediums or whatever. Everybody's like that. And a medium, they just say, well, they're receiving spirits. Okay. But here I went to the Healing Light Center and everything is a name. And the girl that was teaching there was Rosalind Bruyere, and she on Mondays had this open mic thing, which would be bringing it from the stage, and we were sitting there, and she asked a question to the people on the auditorium, and nobody answered. And I raised my hand and I said something. And she looks at me, she says, "Are you channeling that?" I said, "What?" And she rolled her eyes. I had no idea what she was talking about. And so they said, "I channel." I said, "Okay, but I don't. I don't channel." At first, I thought I was a trance medium. No, I just merge with them. When I get messages, I allow them to speak through my voice box. And when they want total, no interference from my brain, then they merge with my energy. I'm aware of what they're saying. They merge, and they're in me, and they're talking, and they're doing their thing. They just talk to me, and one of the beings from a faraway galaxy, they're a little bit of jokers, a little bit of a joker. When they want my attention, they will take stuff right in front of me. They lift it and throw it on the floor, and it comes down, standing up, doesn't break. And I said, "Did you just see that?" And they say, "Yes." I said, "I can hear you. Why don't you just call my name?" And they think this is funnier. And they've done that. All of a sudden something falls. And I said, "Who's in here?" "Oh, they're here." I had a computer they completely destroyed, because when they want my attention, they want my attention now, and they freeze the computer. And they did it so many times I couldn't reboot the computer anymore. I had to buy another one.
Yeah, yeah.
And so this time, when they start and nothing is working, I said, "Please do not ruin this computer. I can't buy another one. This has to last. You want to talk to me?" And they say yes. And sometimes they have a message for me, a message for the other people, and I posted, and they had a message about the virus when it showed up. And this last time that I posted something this week, it was gonna go on with the virus. I said, "No, I can't talk about this. There's too much craziness about it. I don't need this. We're not doing this." And so it stopped there. But the virus is just, when the virus showed up, they said, "This is just the beginning. The virus is not what's going to precipitate the violence, the people turning against each other. That's just the beginning." And it was. From the virus, then you got the economic downturn and people going crazy and all the insanity coming to the surface. And I call this insanity a mass psychosis. This is all the pain and the craziness accumulated for generations. Now it's on the surface.
Send me that, however long it takes, and I will post it so that anyone listening, post it on your website. I understand not posting on Facebook. That's understood. That's really not the venue for it. But for people who are interested in your message and what you're getting, they would like to connect with you directly on your website, but I'll be the go-between. The website is amayahshaman.com, and post it and then refer them to you. Interesting timing for this. When she was mentioning earlier the psychosis and stuff, there's actually on salon.com an article, "Is America Experiencing Mass Psychosis?" And that's what psychologists say is happening right now. Carl Jung apparently warned that this would happen. So very timely for this content. She has some writings. She said she wrote a book. We talked about this in the first segment. She said she wrote a book, or has written that kind of thing, but hasn't published it and made it public on a broad scale. So I wanted to at least publish some snippets of it so that, to give you some background for what she's getting from her beings, her guides, her guardians, her contacts, and then go from there and make up your own mind what you believe. One way or the other, this is the stuff I actually gravitate toward, and I call it metaphysics, because it's beyond spirituality, it's beyond paranormal, it's just a little bit more, with her talking about her shamanic experiences. It's difficult for people to explain that, to describe it, because it's very personal, and we don't have the language that, describes these out-of-body transcendent states. Terence McKenna, check into some of his stuff. He's very good at giving you some kind of a template for it. You may have had your own experience, so you know what I'm talking about. I appreciate you listening, and you can follow along. I post a lot of this stuff on my blog, the talkingtonightlights.com website. There's so much going on here, and this is an amazing time. We are just experiencing a flood of information coming in from people who are having other near-death experiences, expanded consciousness experiences like a Kundalini awakening or an out-of-body experience, all sorts of things like this that really challenge our concept of who we are and what our reality is. So I also like the fact that Myrian's dog in the background, you could hear the dog occasionally kind of, ooh, those little noises. That was the dog. I didn't want to interrupt, but it kind of made it more real. So now you know the rest of the story with that. Thanks for listening. Stay curious.